Hello Nippies, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hi, hello, I'm Nips, a freelance artist, and today we are going to be working on a little OOTD outfit of the day doodle that I did over on Twitch. It's been so long since I've done one of these. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I absolutely love fashion and just making a bunch of fun, colorful outfits. A few years ago, I used to make these all the time. And I don't really know what happened because I kept dressing up and posting all my outfits and everything, but I kind of just fell out of wanting to draw the chibi version of them. But I was looking through my old artwork recently and I ran into these and I decided to, why not? Let's bring them back. I decided to do a little something different. I've always drawn them side by side with the picture or just, the classic by itself. But I wanted to see if I could just incorporate it into the actual drawing because it just seemed like such a fun idea. And for this, I decided to just take the picture and mirror it for the background and then use Photoshop's generative AI to kind of fill in and remove myself from the drawing, which worked pretty spectacularly. And then what I'll do is I'll fill in the other half with white, lower the opacity so I can still see the background, and obviously so I can see my sketch, and then I start drawing the chibi in. And I always have such a hard time working on chibis because I say this all the time, but I have a hard time working on cartoony kind of things that deviate from realistic proportions sort of things. And so sometimes my chibis tend to look a little too realistic / uncanny. And you'll see me kind of struggling with that here. And then on top of that, I'm putting it next to my body, which made it even harder because I want to make it match my proportions. And so I'm kind of going back and forth between this, reminding myself that it's supposed to be cartoony, and then going a little too far with the anatomy. I had a lot of fun with this drawing because I've kind of been going crazy with this new brush that I've been using. And I don't know if you can see it here, but it has like a very hard edge. Here we go, now that I zoomed in. And then the other side is kind of like this fuzzy gradient situation. And I discovered it while I was working on the TFT illustrations that I did for Riot, which is my last video. And if you want to check it out, I'll put the description down below and also a card in the top right. And I really recommend that you watch it. I'm super proud and I worked hard on not just the illustrations, but the video itself. I included a lot of commentary and insight on the process, working with Riot, and how hard it was to get everything to work together with a team, and also on how the drawings were going to look on stage at the tournament, because that's what it was for, on Twitch. So definitely go check it out. It'd be awesome, and let me know what you think. Okay, back to the brush. So the reason I love this brush is because it has, I don't know if you can see, a really hard end on one side, and then it goes into like this fuzzy sort of gradient situation. And so I'm able to have these very distinct and hard lines while still adding that yummy, soft flow and glow to them. And I don't know how many of you remember this. This is kind of a throwback, but Ilya Kuvshinov, I'm pretty sure you know this name, and I don't think this is where it started, but I do believe that they are the ones that made this kind of technique popular. And what they would do is take their primary line art and or sketch lines, and they would duplicate it and create this sort of Gaussian blur effect with them, and then set it to like color burn or multiply or something to kind of give the line art some sort of aura, which made everything look kind of watercolory. And if you had a sketch that only had flats, or even now in present tense, because this is still something that you could use obviously, and it just looks really nice, it's quick, it's easy, it just makes your drawing look more finished. I don't know how to explain it, but definitely give it a try if you've never tried it. It is a very interesting, quick, and fun technique. There are a couple things that I actually don't like about this brush as I've started to use it. One of the things is that the fuzzy side, I cannot control where it goes, it seems. I might have to mess with the settings a bit more, but sometimes I'll be doing like one section, and something like the glasses, for example, half of the heart will be with the fuzzy side on the inside, and then the other half will be with it on the outside. And it just makes things look awkward and very disjointed. So I definitely have to kind of mess with it, because sometimes I'll just have to undo until I get it to work on the same side. And the other thing is, when you're doing something that has a lot of line art, you'll do that thing where you kind of select with the wand tool on the outside, invert it, and then, expand the selection a bit. So that way you kind of make sure that you fill in under the lines. But with this brush, because of the fuzzy side, when it ends up on the outside, like I said earlier, you can't control where the fuzzy side appears. So there are some lines where the fuzzy side is on the outside and some where it's on the inside. And so when I go to select and expand, it's not consistent. So I'll actually have to do that and then go in and do the extra work to refine the edges, which is kind of annoying and basically defeats the purpose of this shortcut to do my flats. The last thing I would say is, if you've seen my older work, you know in general that I really, really love just super precise, clean lines. And there is something about this brush, because of the fuzzy side, that does not allow me to do that, because everything just looks airbrushed on. And so I'm quite not used to manipulating this brush in order to get the level of details that I want, but still make the lines look super clean and crisp. Nonetheless, it's still super fun to use, and I cannot wait to keep experimenting with it. So we're reaching the completion on the top half of the drawing. You'll probably see that I copy pasted the buns and mirrored them, because work smarter, not harder. This was just supposed to be a fun, quick doodle, and so I decided to just get it out of the way, edit it a little bit after mirroring it, and move along. And even though I did that, one of the things that did bother me with the buns were the amount of lines that I had in them, and that I wasn't able to get the actual shape of my buns, but I decided to just get the general silhouette and call it a day. And the reason I say the amount of lines bothered me is because as of late, I've been trying to focus on shapes, silhouettes, and flow rather than adding too many details, because details and more details isn't always a good thing and doesn't always make a better drawing. And I say this specifically for me because I tend to add way too many details, and I think sometimes I use it as a way to hide how not knowledgeable I am about a certain thing that I'm drawing. And the less lines you put, I think the more obvious those things become. And I've always talked about how I admire animators, because animators are just so skilled in creating these beautiful shapes and flow and literally everything I'm aiming for with basically little to no lines. It's incredible. And I always see it and I'm like, bro, they make it look so easy. I'm like, I could do that. It's only 3 lines. How hard could it be? And then you go in and you realize why these people are just as skilled as they are, the amount of time and effort they have put in order to achieve this level of mastery. And it just makes me want to do it more. And while I was looking through my old drawings, this is something that's been on my mind for a while, is have I gotten worse? Has my art just deteriorated? And I'm gonna go on a tangent because I promise it's related, but when you are working on your craft, I believe obviously the more that you work on it, the improvements that you make are gonna be more and more subtle. And that doesn't mean that you can't have a big jump or improvement, but usually more nuance is added to your craft, and it gets harder to truly see the improvement if not with a trained eye. And some of my recent worries with my work have been the quality of my lines and the details in my work. And when I went back to analyze my work, what I realized is that yes, I actually have improved, but my changes, like I mentioned earlier, were way more nuanced. And I'll probably have to do a separate video analyzing my own work, so let me know if you want that. But one of the biggest points that I noticed is that quantity does not equal quality. And there's nothing wrong with quantity, but for the purposes of my own art goals, I noticed that I used to hide a lot of my mistakes and lack of skill under just useless lines. And for me personally, I noticed that I really grew into adding less lines, but making them more purposeful. And not just more purposeful, but more confident as well. The flow and the energy of my drawings now is so much better in my opinion, and I'm just super happy with my growth and a lot of the experimenting that I've done as of late as well, which that ties into the animators and also with the new brush that I'm using, because the new brush might make my lines not look like my old lines, but sometimes change is necessary for some development, exploration, and growth. And so both of these things combined, tying it back into what we were talking about earlier and hopefully making this a more useful tangent, is what really just allowed me to see that I have improved, even though it hasn't been as obvious as I've liked. So I think it would be kind of fun to take one of those drawings and recreate it now to truly prove to myself that I have gotten better. Another video idea. Let me know if you want to see that one too. But yeah, just a lot of things that I learned from something that seems like a very fast and quick doodle that didn't really mean anything when I started drawing it other than I just wanted to have some fun. So yeah, if you are doubting yourself in the moment, just go back to your old artwork. There is always going to be an improvement somewhere in some way. Sometimes we really do need that little pick-me-up to really show us what we have learned and to kind of push us forward and make us feel better about ourselves because, we're not perfect and we are going to doubt ourselves sometimes. But yeah, so this is the finished product. I'm so happy with how this came out. I was so worried when I first started drawing it. It had been so long since I've done one. And like I said, I had my doubts about my lines and my work and everything. So I was waiting for this to be a disaster, but very happy with how it came out. Thank you so much for watching it. If you watched, let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Like the video, of course, if you liked it. Subscribe, join the Nippy family. The more, the merrier. And yeah, I will see you guys next week. Bye.